Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market. It's our daily show from Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. GMT. Every day of the week, we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make money by leveraging the internet and its latest technologies. I am your host, Bchek. I am joined by my legendary co-host, Legendary. We're going to get into the interesting developments in the NFT market over the weekend. Numbers are looking good again. So starting the week on a positive note, just a reminder, we are live on X, we are live on YouTube. Great to start the week with you once again. But before we do that, just a reminder, friends, nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is super, super risky. We don't know anything for sure. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, how are you doing this Monday, the 27th of November?
GM. I'm truly excited for this week. It's definitely
Why?
going to be an interesting week. We have a couple of mints that I'm looking forward to.
Ooh.
Most of all, for me, it is AOF, Army of Fortune. That's minting tomorrow. It is a free mint. I think
How many
it's
mints do you have?
I have a couple
A couple.
allocated. A
Very,
couple.
very nice.
It's 2.2K that will be minting, and again another gaming mint that's pretty hyped in the mobile gaming sector, and quite curious to see how that one will do as well.
I'm calling it on the gaming sector, Legendary. I'm saying that there's a bubble. What do you think about that?
It certainly is bubble shaped, quite like that. You know, you can't call Blast a pyramid. Blast is just a triangle shaped referral system. So it is a circular expanding shape for the Web3 gaming sector, I would say.
Yeah, it's a big pie, and I'm not sure how delicious all of it is what I'm saying. I'm a little bit concerned actually for the gaming thing. One of the reasons I thought that, and I think to be honest, I'm just taking someone's thoughts that I saw in a tweet. Can't remember who it was, unfortunately, because I scan Twitter so aggressively in the mornings when I do the snapshot that I can't always remember what information I'm gleaning from who. But I mean, I think this all started, and we spoke about it on the show. You participated in the ZTX airdrop quite some time ago, and people were just like, wow, didn't know that was possible. Kind of took people by surprise. And now everyone's waking up to all the potential other similar ecosystems, maybe not exactly the same, but very, very similar. And you've got to think that it's not only the reason that ZTX succeeded. Sorry, the reason that ZTX succeeded is not only because they did it first. I've got to think that. Like, it's not only because they did it first, it's because there's some underlying good fundamentals as well, right? You have to think that in this market. But with the volume of projects, names that are coming out at the moment, and there seems to be so many, so many, and I can't think that all of them are going to be executing on the same level. That's just my one cautionary word as we go into, I think, a period of high excitement. It just feels a little bit bubble-like. That's my thoughts. Legendary, what do you think?
I have a comment and a question on that.
Yes.
The comment is I do agree. I don't think that all the games will turn out to be doing well, especially on the token side of things.
Yeah,
Everyone now loves to launch a token. Few will
exactly.
have follow-up utility and token things ready to be used and keep the token price stable. I mean, we saw Blur executing perfectly on that, on having a massive token sync and FOMO creation after an airdrop, and they did manage to actually pump the price after the airdrop. But I don't think that each and every game will manage to do that. The question, however, is you said in the morning you were scanning the timeline aggressively.
Yes.
So like I also scan the timeline in the morning, but what's the difference between scanning the timeline and scanning it in an aggressive manner and fashion? Like how do you scroll aggressively on X?
It's the pressure with which you touch the screen. If you press the screen hard, then that's an aggressive swipe. If you're
Gotcha.
just
So it's the equivalent of you typing essentially because you're not a quiet typer.
yeah, I scroll the way that I type. It's in an aggressive fashion. Trying to get
Interesting.
after it in the morning, waking up, not not playing around here, Legendary. I'm trying to get
Is this your bull market scrolling behavior? Is it different in a bear market? Or is it like
absolutely,
always aggressive?
absolutely not. It's just the same. I'm just going to get
Love it.
after it in the morning. That's what we do.
Love it. Shall we get into the news?
Yes, we should. Let's do it. We're going to get into the snapshot, bring you the main headlines from the day and some of the key price action and things of that nature in just a moment. Remember, that goes out every single morning. It's pinned up top. If it does bring you some value, please do like it, because I aggressively compiled it this morning, and I'd like a like for my aggressive work. Um, let's get into it, starting with the price action. We have Bitcoin down 1% at 37.5K, ETH just under 2.1K, Solana down a few percent at 56.2, Ape down 8% on the 24 hours, but it's broken 1.5 finally, up at 1.6%. NFT volume was high. Total was 26.4 million, Blur at 20.9, OpenSea at 4.1. Getting into the headlines, we have the VC backers paradigm, the backers of Blur and Blast, criticizing the Blast tactics. So we're going to get into that in just a moment. Number two, crypto media titan Bankless criticized for its DAO $1 million proposal to the Arbitrum DAO. A lot of criticism going on at the moment for people who are making money. I've got some hot takes on that, which we're going to get into in just a bit. And then we had Infinigods up 300% on the week after some huge sweeps. Again, thinking about the gaming meta. I know, Legendary, you were telling me just off camera that you met the team, you know what's going on there. So I'm grateful for that. We're going to hear about that in a minute, as well as talk about the broader gaming sector at the moment. And then we have the floor prices, which are CryptoPunks at 56.5, which is flat. Bored Apes at 30, down 1%. Mutants at 5.7. DGods at 3.6. That's up a little bit. Captains at 4.2. Azuki's at 6.1, down 4%. Penguins at 6.2, down a few percent. Moonboards at 2.1, and Nouns at 21 ETH. Some notable sales. We had a CryptoPunk Mustache selling for 60 ETH, $123,000, and memecoin.eth, the ENS, selling to Memeland, I believe, for 42 ETH. That's $86,000. Quality ENS is going to sell for good money. Legendary, that is the price action. Those are the headlines. Before we get into the headlines, what numbers are catching your eye there?
The meme coin ENS sale is actually a great flip. It was bought, the ENS domain was bought a couple days ago for 4.2 ETH and exited for a 10x, if I saw that correctly.
What? That's outrageous. That is a pretty good flip. Almost, I mean, I'm kind of suspicious of that flip. Someone must, someone on the team knows that they need to buy meme coin, and then they buy it for 4.2. Like, man, that is a good.
I would assume that it has been bought quite a while ago and got listed on the market, and someone just managed to snipe it before Memeland got it themselves.
Yeah. I suspect it was something bought a long time ago first, or minted a long time ago, and then a little secondary sale there. Wow, pretty good flip there. Can't complain with that. Anything else you're looking at, Legendary, in general on the timeline, in the coins arena? How are you feeling about the general market? How are you positioning yourself over the weekend? I know we've spoken about being fairly stressed about how much opportunity there is at the moment. Before we get into the headlines, like, how are you spending your time over the weekend? What are you looking at? What are you excited about? What have you been how you been positioning yourself?
What have I been doing on the weekend? I sold my Moonbird.
Did you?
I did, yeah. Wanted to
Interesting.
free up a bit of liquidity on that end. I did a
Interesting.
Degen thing on the weekend. I went to shuffle.com, that online casino
Oh
stake
God.
rollbit competitor. They apparently will be doing an airdrop. So what I ended up doing is generating volume. I played a low variance game, the Degen game of Limbo, and generated over 200K volume on a single wallet with a couple $100 deposited. So that was my Sunday. I watched numbers go up and down, but I actually got on a lucky streak and managed to cash out surprisingly a bit more than 2 ETH after that. But yeah, I'm preparing for online gambling airdrops in the potential future. Airdrop
Interesting.
farming has never been that enjoyable.
That is interesting. I do think that the conversation we had last week was important, where we kind of reflected on the airdrop opportunities and we asked the important question, which was, is there more airdrops now? Are there more airdrops now than before in 2021? Or is it that we are more knowledgeable now and more wiser, and therefore we are more attuned to the various opportunities? And I think it just legitimately is true that there's just more stuff going on. This whole NFT ecosystem has been built up in the last 2 years. And so there's so much more. That's just a whole industry. It's a whole ecosystem that didn't exist before. So all the protocols operating in that ecosystem are providing opportunities. And that's on top of all of the other airdrop opportunities that are existing elsewhere. So very,
Hmm.
very alive. I did a little bit of ETH staking via EtherFi. It's something that you let me know about. And because it also gets you, what's it called? Gets you the points for Eigenlayer, which is a
Yes.
restaking protocol. And I thought that was very, very cool.
Did you
Um,
do the Etherfan mint as well?
I didn't do the EtherFan mint. I wish there was a section for the people who are wondering, like, what the hell is this? It's a ETH staking protocol. Um, normally you need like 32 ETH to run your own validator to stake ETH. There are some other ways to stake ETH with like the staked ETH coin that you can buy, or Rocket Pool ETH, for example. This is just an alternative way to do that, where you buy Ether. It's just called ETH, and you can mint it. You kind of swap your ETH for it 1 to 1. So it's just an alternative way to get exposure to ETH staking. It's a new protocol, but it also gets restaked on Eigenlayer at the same time. And EtherFan seems to be this cool way that they've tried to, how do you describe it, Legendary? Like kind of gamify it a little bit. Like it's the same as
Basically,
staking.
it's a free NFT mint, and
Yeah,
the ETH that you decide to pay for it is turned into that ETH, into that liquid stake derivative. And the longer you hold it, the more your APR gets boosted on it. But you can basically destroy the NFT at any time to get your ETH out as well. But if you
yeah,
do it, you get extra loyalty points and extra eigenlayer points as well. So this is why I went for both of them.
yeah. I think I'll do the NFT as well. So you basically get to choose how much ETH you want to deposit like into
Yeah, I
this
think you should
NFT.
do point 0.1 ETH gets you like the 10K loyalty points, and that's
I
all you need
see.
to do really.
Okay. Well, that seems to be. I remember reading on their frequently asked questions that they said that it will turn into a DAO, and it's got the eye emoji as if that's going to be probably or
Hmm.
likely to be an airdrop as well. So um, that's what I was doing. I did a little bit of that, and that's about it. I
Orbital
mean,
Finance also started the quests. If you've seen that, the bridge that we, at least the two of us, use all the time to bridge between various layer twos, they now started a couple on-chain quests for specific bridging routes. Layer
interesting.
3 started a series of quests as well, so definitely a good time to revisit those protocols and do the quests. But I do hope that for the airdrops, they will factor in historical activity as well. And it's
Yeah.
only a psyop that they have quests now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about all these quests. They just keep trying to get everyone's engagement all the time, forever and ever. So I'm a little bit skeptical, but I have used it quite a lot. The final point I wanted to make, and I don't mind saying this because we told everyone about it before we made any moves on the show last week. Did you get any grok in the end?
Holy shit, I forgot about that. No. Did you?
I did. So obviously, like on the show, we were speaking about it as a potential thing because you reminded me that they were going to be launching Grok this week, I think, on X. So I did buy some like after, not even straight after the show, like loads after the show. As soon as I bought it, it went down, but it's up quite a lot now. Based on that, I think it might be going past all-time highs as we speak, or it did do this morning. So I don't know. Just the market's just alive with opportunities. Just so much stuff, from good stuff to like shitcoin stuff. I bought a squiggle over the weekend. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. Congrats. Welcome. Welcome to
Yeah,
the club.
thanks. So yeah,
Will
that was
you will you lend it out or will you hold it?
I'm not sure. I think I might lend it, yeah, to get to unlock some extra liquidity. But I decided to get. Let me see if I can find it. I'll show people on YouTube. Um, let's see. Here we go. I wrote a little tweet on it. I said, this is what I said. I said, I've been going around telling so many people it's kind of my thesis for it, that there are certain collections which, even in the deepest, darkest depths of the bear market, routinely change hands for 5 to 6 figures. This was during the bear market. I've also explained at length how certain assets have significant liquidity because of an ever-present bid and constant loan offers. One of the ways I determine what a blue chip status of a digital asset is by the status of its loan market. Higher LTVs, lower APRs, longer duration. And I decided I couldn't enter whatever market we're moving into without being exposed to the asset about which I speak so highly. And squiggles for me have always been something which is like, hey, they're just genuinely really cool. They're seared into my mind. Like when you think about digital art, when you think about this crypto art movement, that image is so enduring. It's like, it's so like, so iconic. And in the worst times in the bear market, it's just been something which has been almost rock solid. I think the financial market's kind of showing you that, because people are willing to lend you stuff so much. They're willing to lend at such a good rate on squiggles so routinely, and that's how I determine what a blue chip asset is. So, and I kind of went above floor as well. You can see this one. It's kind of, I don't know. It's just got all the colors and it looks nice. So that's how I determine what a good squiggle is. What do you think of the squig, Legendary?
It's a beautiful one. Definitely would suit you well to get it printed on a cap and wear it throughout the show.
Mm. Yeah, I think Avant Art are doing a squiggle print soon. So what I'm going to do is buy the print, I guess. I think that's what I'll do. But that, yeah, I mean, I completely forgot about that. That's what we've been up to over the weekend. I mean, there's just, I find myself doing a lot of research, a lot of decision making at the moment, a lot of research, a lot of decision making. It's very busy. And yeah, we'll just keep bringing those thoughts to you as we go through into whatever market we're moving into. It feels very exciting to us, and yeah, we're going to keep doing it. So let's get into what we're going to do now. I've already read the news, haven't I?
You did read the market, but I don't think you got into the headlines. No, you did get into the headlines. It's time to get into the main headline.
Right, let's get into it. Get into the main headline. We've got the VC backers paradigm criticizing the Blast TVL tactics. Do you want to set this up, or do you want me to set it up? And then we've got different people's thoughts on it.
Happy for you to take it away, and I have a couple of thoughts on it as well.
Okay, so we had Dan Robinson from Paradigm. Everyone knows that Blast is the new L2 by Blur. It's raised an absurd amount of money. I believe there's now $700 million farming the airdrop. That's not all locked in the smart contract. There's like, I think it's over 500 million in the smart contract and maybe 200 million farming the Blur stuff. I can't remember exactly. But it's just raised a huge amount of money. It's now, I guess, without even existing, it's like the fourth biggest L2, despite it not existing after Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync. And yeah, it's drawn some criticism from the investors from Paradigm. They said that there are a lot of components of Blast that they're excited about and would be interested in engaging with people on, but they thought that Blur, or the Blur team, crossed the line in both messaging and execution. For example, we did not agree that the decision to launch the bridge should have happened before the L2 was ready, or to not allow withdrawals for 3 months, since we think it sets a bad precedent for other projects. They then go on to say that, yeah, we backed Pac-Man, who's the founder, who's obviously a very talented, brilliant builder in certain ways. And so they definitely wanted to put that out there as well. And that they've been continuing to discuss their concerns with the team, and they're kind of engaged with them on it. And they just wanted to come out publicly, it seems, to say they do not endorse these kinds of tactics. And they actually use those words, which I think is kind of a big deal to come out and say those things. Legendary, what do you think? Do you think it's a big deal they actually came out and said this, or do you just think this is for show, and ultimately doesn't really change anything for them? Their money's with them. They're still going to make a humongous bag on this. Like, why do you think they came out and said this?
First of all, I think it's a good thing that they came out and said this. The reasons behind that might be my thought is that nobody expected it to go over 700 mil in that short amount of time. And it's gotten to a ludicrous point. I mean, shout out to Kodama. Kodama made a post on the weekend saying there was a big space where people discussed if Blast is a better L2 than Solana is a layer one. Like, we discuss if a non-existing product is better than an existing blockchain, essentially, which is absolutely ridiculous.
That's
And I
so
just
funny.
think that many people simply did not clock that they are depositing into a multi-sig that is a non-existing product yet, and it got too big for some people to remain silent about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting perspective. I guess people want to try to create a headline, create a conversation, maybe even a non-existent debate. But I do think there's an element that they wouldn't have realized that there was this much capital willing to get allocated. I think there's two things. One, that they didn't think that it would get this much capital. B, I've seen a lot of just surprise in the timeline that there was this much idle capital, like, ready. And it just, what it shows me on some level is just there's so much appetite for risk right now. Did you see that OSF deposited 1,000 ETH?
No, I didn't, but it makes sense. Like, not that the OSF deposit 1,000 ETH, but it makes sense that it attracts big pockets, because I've been thinking more and more about this. Like, we talked about opportunity cost, and there certainly might be better things to do with 10 ETH, with 20 ETH, with 50 ETH. But even if you have, I don't know, a bullish thesis on, say, Web3 gaming, you can't go in with 1K ETH and start to sweep some floors. That just doesn't work. So realistically, that only lets you with the alternative of putting your money into liquid staking or putting it into EigenLayer if you want to spin up some validators yourself, which is way more complex. So this is an easy way to put in as much money as you want to get ETH staking rates in and hope for an additional yield by the token airdrop that will happen at some point next year. And it makes sense that it attracts big pockets because this money is sitting on the sideline. There's not a lot of other things that you could do. Well, I would argue that with lower pockets, with less ETH, you might have opportunities that offer more return than that. But for whales, it is definitely an interesting thing to do. And also for ETH that you just don't want to use otherwise.
Yeah. I kind of see what you mean. You get the exposure to ETH staking and exposure to the airdrop at the same time. So long as that you are comfortable with the risks involved, then it's a winner. Now, those are not zero. Those risks are not certainly not marked to zero, but if you're comfortable with it, I can see your perspective. I'm just going to send you, Legendary, a tweet by Mando kind of estimating the points, so you get a chance to digest that. I want to ask you about it in a second. But Jack's hand is raised. Would love to hear your thoughts, Jack. And then we have Sam, NFT Stats, with us. And I was going to go to one of his tweets where he shared two thoughts on this. So I'd love to hear those thoughts from him in just a moment too. But Jack first.
Yeah, I just want to provide my completely uneducated, unqualified opinion on the whole matter, which is just a little annoyed by the timing. Like, all fine for clarifying that, you were concerned with some of the tactics, but I'm assuming you were concerned with some of those tactics from day one. People have been injecting something that is locked up for months and months. For me, that was almost the reason I did it. I was like, the market's getting very tasty. But I am someone who tends to overindulge. Like, I am someone, if you put a share bag of sweets in front of me, I'm going to eat that share bag to myself. And therefore, when I have ETH on the sidelines and I start seeing a lot of like potential places to put that ETH in terms of gaming, in terms of NFTs that I can sweep, I don't have the best control. So for me, popping it in for 3 months and just being able to be like, well, you know what, there is risk there, but there's also risk of me, myself, and I just sweeping a bunch of degenerate shit all over the timeline. So that's sort of where I come out on it. I did think that, great that you've clarified that point. I get that the point we've just made, that it's more to do with the volume that was going into this, but it very much seemed like a timely thing to do it. It seemed like I am protecting myself. Now we have all the TVL. Now it's all locked up. We don't entirely agree with it, which to me is such a blanket bitch statement that I'm just like, well, fine, okay, great for you doing that now and putting some negative pressure on the whole thing. Thank you for doing that. at the end of the week, hoping no one would either see it or knowing that the repercussions would be minimal now that everyone has already put that money in. So yeah, I just think he's a bit of a bitch.
I mean, very, very strong words, Jack. I know what you mean in terms of just locking the ETH up. It's kind of helpful in some respect, and take a point on timing as well. Maybe this is just something that corporate people need to do to keep their public perception clean whilst they basically carry on and go about their business. I wonder how much that kind of feeds into some of the thoughts that Sam shared when he tweeted his 2 quick thoughts earlier, but would love to hear his thoughts from himself right now. Sam, welcome.
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really torn on this. Like, I tweeted that out, and a lot of people are like, this was just a cover your ass type of statement. Like, he's still making all the money. He still loves the project. He just had to cover his ass. From a legal perspective, from various perspectives, don't overthink it. Like, there's that perspective, or there's the perspective that these guys really have their real disagreements that they disagree about, and he still wants to invest and support the guy because he's a winner. In terms of, he's kind of like a VC's dream, but they have their real disagreements. And, I saw that at Uber a lot. I think there are a lot of people who on the team at Uber who still begrudge Benchmark and Bill Gurley because they ultimately removed Travis from the board. Like, so I've kind of seen company versus VTC tensions, and I'm just torn on where this one exists. I think what I kind of tweeted, what I've kind of thought is like Pac-Man is ruthless. Like he has a loyalty score that basically says that if you interact with any other platform, your points get nerfed to all hell. And he adds stuff to that every day. I mean, this isn't an industry that claims to be decentralized, right? Like this is a guy who even on his own site, he's like all these like anti-decentralization measures are enforcing. Like he plays both sides, but then he literally won't even let you interact with any of those websites ever or in the past, or you lose all your points. Like he is fucking ruthless. He's very against the standards I think that the industry at least likes to perceive itself as. Like he's extremely dopamine heavy in the way that they go about things. Like the reason that NFT or that farming works for so long for a lot of people is because you watch number go up every 5 minutes. Like, and this new product is that on overdrive. And I'm like, this is stuff that we are all used to. Like that's just Pac-Man, that's just Blur, and this is the world we live in, and you can love it or leave it, but you can't complain about it anymore. It's not going to go very far. But I think that this whole new world of L2s, like he's out there now. His new enemies, it's not OpenSea. It's like now it's Arbitrum and it's Polygon and it's maybe Solana, whatever. And on his website he like kind of takes hits at them already. And I can see where like all these big players, big investments in the industry are going to Paradigm being like, what the fuck is this? Kind of like some of us were like a year ago, but now we're totally used to it and embrace it, and I can just see where that is like a new dose that he's suddenly getting. And but in my tweet, I said like, you're complaining about like dopamine inducing marketing tactics. Like, have you been paying attention to this massive investment of yours for the past 11 months? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're like, is this new to you? But I just imagine that he's suddenly hearing about it from more people who don't really give a shit about NFT exchanges. Blur, after all, has only 2,000 daily active users.
Sure.
So suddenly a whole new group of people are hearing about it. I don't know. That's a lot of different thoughts, and I really don't know where I stand. It's just I've kind of been riffing on it a little bit today.
No, that's so interesting. What I just want to ask you a follow-up question straight away and then give some of my thoughts. But so do you think that could be the fact that this has suddenly become a significantly more ambitious project? Like at one point in time, Blur might have killed OpenSea, might have taken their market share, but it was just an NFT platform with, as you say, no more than 2,500 users or so. But the fact that this has set its sight on a far grander vision, we were kind of talking about it on the show the other day where we started comparing it. I don't know if you were with us that day, Sam, but we were looking at the TVL, looking at all these other L2s, and it's like, okay, you're overtaking this one, you're overtaking this one. We looked at the market cap of the other staking protocols as well. and it's like it was overtaking all of those at the same time as well. So it's like suddenly
Yeah.
a lot of people like, is this just a bank now? Then I started to think over the weekend, is this just the establishment of a different bank?
Well, at this point, it's a bank, literally.
Yeah.
Like a bank, like can take your cash and put it into Treasury. That's what the bridge is, right? That's what the bridge is. But half the airdrop is going to go to developers. And developers, I think it's in January that the tools are going to be ready for developers. Like it's going to become something. If things go to plan, like the vision is for us to be a serious L2. Like the fact that he's giving half the airdrop all to developers shows like that's where the focus is going to be. But yes, I mean, you know, you lock up $650 million from the ecosystem that people are used to, like, and say it can't do anything for 3 months. It just has to sit there because we all should just trust the guy. Well, people in NFTs, we trust him because we've seen what he's done, but like other people don't. And yeah, this is like a much more ambitious undertaking that is making a lot of heads turn, I am sure, that we're not used to turning, that making a lot of heads, a lot of people call paradigm. And that's what disruptive people do. Like at some level, this is what disruptive people do, is they piss off more and more people, but they don't give a fuck and they get bigger and bigger. And honestly, I think that that's a great characteristic in an entrepreneur. It's just the part of the process is kind of a bit the more established players being like, what the fuck is this? And I think he's already done that to NFTs. You know my view. I don't think that the impact on the NFTs ecosystem has been very good. I think it's still totally TBA for all these other things, and I'm investing alongside it, and I'm not like negative on the blast stuff he's doing yet. I haven't seen any reason to be, but I think a lot of people are being like, holy shit, like this incredibly aggressive guy is starting to tread along my territory. And by the way, he's locking up a lot of money in our ecosystem.
Yeah, really, really fascinating. Legendary, do you want to come to your thoughts there? Then I've probably got another question for Sam, but just want to check in with you.
Yeah, very much agree with almost everything that Sam has said. One additional point that I noticed, and I told you before the show, is if you're talking about not being happy with some of the things that happen, having criticism about what's going on with Blast, they changed the thing on the website, which is how they portray the referral system. You had this beautiful graphic of a sideways pyramid that had you as a single person referring to the first tier of people to 5-6 people, and then referring another 20-30 people. So like a pyramid turned on its side, which was criticized, which people said, look, it's a Ponzi, just turn the pyramid out, etc. That graphic got removed from the website. So it's definitely something that is not a coincidence, definitely something that someone has been thinking about in terms of if we portray it like that, people will jump on the marketing bandwagon, will try to refer as many people as they can. And once we have a solid TVL and have a solid user base, we can then just quietly go on and remove a little pyramid-shaped graphic.
So one, I think that's hilarious if they've actually removed it. And mainly I think it's hilarious because I've seen a meme done, I think it was in Mando's Minutes, where, he's got this really cool artist, Leonidas, who does the little graphics at the same time. I'm trying to find the one, but there's literally a thing where there's a pyramid and then someone calling it a pyramid and saying, no, it's not a pyramid, it's a triangle. And so like, I don't know whether they've literally seen the meme, be like, yeah, we need to change this pyramid into a triangle ASAP, or just get rid of it. But maybe they've taken direction from there. But my other maybe bigger question potentially is, maybe I'm missing something. I don't really get the big deal about the marketing tactics. Is it just me? Like, 'cause I mean, I used to do gambling law in the UK a little bit, and I was just always struck by how often, well, the strenuous regulations on gambling companies to like make sure that the people weren't able to gamble. If they told you that they can't gamble, you need to double check, like, are you allowed to use your money? Like the way that the gambling companies needed to start to like really look after it, their users, to me felt overblown. And I've got a bunch of examples for it, but I don't know if we want to go into them now. But I just think we're in crypto where people are very, very super familiar with all of these methods. And we're here to take risk. Like, I think that was one of my main points. And I don't know to what extent these are a big deal. Sam, did you want to come in on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, none of this stuff jumped out at me as like it's a pyramid scheme of sorts. But like, I don't know, at Uber, like referrals were by far our biggest customer acquisition channel, and turning your users into people who can promote you to other people. Like, if we want to get upset with Blur, like, let's talk about the fact that their token rallied from 0.15 to zero point 0.4, 3 weeks before a massive announcement.
Yes.
And there were a lot of insiders who knew about it. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about that. If we're gonna get mad about Blur, let's talk about how their incentive structure became one that just got turned an entire ecosystem into like pump and dumps where bidders would get manipulated and then 300 NFTs dumped onto them. And there was too much hubris to examine if this was actually a good thing or not. Like, there are things that we can complain about, but like a referral system, like in crypto, like, guys, I'm just surprised that this is like what suddenly the investor decided was the problem.
I completely agree with that. Like, and we actually brought up on the show, we spoke about it on the day when it went from 15 to 20 something to 30. And we spoke about that informational totem pole. Like, someone knows something. There's no way people are bidding this token without knowing something.
Yeah, I mean, we have a company that distributes their token on the 14th of every month to Coinbase and then sends it to every investor and employee so that no one on the outside has any idea who's doing what. Insiders have total inside information and they can buy and sell whatever they want on Coinbase, and there's no transparency. All the benefits of blockchain are completely gone. And the token rallies from 15 cents to 40 cents in the 3 weeks preceding a massive, like, game-changing announcement that was clearly positive. Like, there is stuff for crypto native, decentralized, kind of community oriented people to complain about with this company. But the referral program, like, it just doesn't. It's a weird thing for him to suddenly like be like, I'm putting my foot down on this one.
Completely agree. That's definitely I think the stance we took at least a while ago as well. Thanks to FT in the comments, has sent over the meme from Bold Leonidas. For the people who can't see on YouTube, it has two characters speaking to each other saying, "So Blast is a pyramid scheme." The other person says no, and the other one turns it upside down, shows that it's a pyramid, and says, "My brother, this is a triangle. Pyramids are 3D." So I guess this is part of the thing. Definitely go check it out. Bodley and Ice does really cool, funny bits of art. Really cool commentary on the NFT and crypto space in general. Legendary, any final thoughts on this before we get into? Oh, I was going to ask you. I sent you over Mando's valuation for the points. Any thoughts on that? Maybe you just want to summarize where Mando got to, and also like what you
three final thoughts on that. First of all,
Yes.
massive shout out to FT. I think over the last weeks, FT has always been hitting the comment section with something dope, something valuable that's so amazing and so helpful for us. Second of all, before I get into Mando's tweet, there was the difference between pyramid, triangles, pyramid shaped actually matters. There was a massive multi-level marketing case in the States. I don't remember the company's name, and they were running a pyramid scheme, and they actually managed to reach a settlement. And as part of the settlement, they had to pay a massive fine. And the settlement basically explained that it was not a pyramid system; it was merely pyramid shaped. So there's a difference between pyramids, triangles, even in the eye of the law. Going to your last question, to Mando's post, Mando did a bit of a breakdown that is actually very much in line with most of the other people whom I saw doing a similar thing to try to estimate what return you can expect from depositing your ETH into the multi-sig, by comparing it to the Arbitrum airdrop, to Optimism airdrop, Arbitrum being 11% of the total supply, Optimism 5%. Also looking at Blur's first airdrop, which was 10%, predicted 7.5% to be airdropped, and basically based on that and based on pre-listing perps valuing the fully diluted market cap of that not yet existing Blast token at 4.5 billion this week. He did the math on that and said you would assume that 3% are first to be airdropped to people depositing into the bridge / multi-sig, which at 1 billion TVL and the 6 billion valuation, assuming that both of those numbers will go up to that, would equal 18% that you can expect as a return on your ETH that you deposit in terms of the the airdrop, and most of the numbers that I saw predicted between 20 to 30%, or did calculations that arrived at those figures, which again, it is a nice return on top of the ETH staking, and it's a return that's appealing to people who just have bigger bags to deposit, because it's not something that you can. There's not many things that you can do with 1,000 ETH. I mean, there's many things you can do with 1,000 ETH, but in terms of seeking a short-term return over the next couple of months, 20-30% for locking that up is definitely an enticing opportunity.
Yeah, I've got to clip that there's not many things to do with 1,000 ETH. I know what you mean though. It's like, well, what are you going to do in this ecosystem? Like you're obviously holding ETH because you're bullish on ETH, and you don't want to buy NFTs with it, or you don't want to, trade meme coins. The whole point is you want to hold the ETH in some capacity. So like, how can you put that ETH to work? So yeah, I think that is a interesting analysis. What I want to do now, just a quick shout out to Mikhail as well. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Also providing some good memes in the comments. Arnav just suggested in the comments as well, one of the reasons I think Blast got so much volume is there's a lot of idle liquidity sitting with NFT holders. They're now more open to explore DeFi now as compared to last cycle. Yeah, I think a lot of the people who came in to this universe from NFTs, maybe we're not as crypto native before, but they've got a lot more experience now. And I think people are ready to explore more stuff. But to be honest, I would still say I was surprised by the volume. I think everyone was kind of surprised by how much idle ETH was sitting around. So we're going to leave that topic there. We're obviously going to keep monitoring it, keep paying attention to it. But let's get into Legendary. I think I want to do the InfiniGods news first, just for a few minutes, because I think you'll be able to speak to that. I don't have a huge amount to say, but just want to bring people up to date on that. Then we'll do the Web3 roundup to get everyone up to speed with what else is going on in the space. And then I want to hit the Bankless news for maybe the last 5-10 minutes after that.
Absolutely, let's do it. InfiniGods is on the rise, as you said, 300% pump over the weekend. Bit more extra context. I did meet the InfiniGods team actually quite early on at VCon in Minneapolis. I think that was last year, not this year. Yeah, that was last year. And what they are building is not a single game. They're actually building multiple games. There are 3 games right now that they're working on. One's a puzzle type of game with InfiniMerge. They are also working on King of Destiny, which is available as a mobile game on the Play Store and the App Store. And then they have a tower defense game as well. They have been working on that for quite a while, but the price has stayed pretty flat. The thing that changed over the weekend is that Grail.eth joined the Wolves DAO, which is that gaming guild, very prominent gaming guild in our space. And Wolves DAO has always been pretty vocal about InfiniGods and their potential. And in InfiniGods, you have the passes as well as the actual gods, the characters. And after Grail joined Wolves DAO, he ended up sweeping 80 InfiniGod passes and pumping up the floor massively by doing that.
So the thing that
I think there's also token rumors with that going on as well. I don't know if I don't think it's confirmed, but again, because you mentioned, the market loving to speculate on tokens in Web3 gaming right now.
Yeah, I think that the reason why I picked this for the headline today rather than any of the other potential gaming projects which are also speculating on tokens is because I thought it was interesting about this Wolves DAO involvement, and I would love to actually speak to someone from there. I think you're actually in it potentially. I can't remember. You told me to join the other day, but I haven't had time.
No, I'm not in it. I applied though.
Oh, okay. I've just noticed Wolves DAO becoming this type of DAO that is becoming. And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from the outside, notice someone's becoming like a fairly influential group in the gaming sector, kind of determining which projects are good. Because InfiniGods, for example, that's been around for ages, like ages and ages and ages. one of my old friends from the Pixel Vault Discord back in 2021, Bry DeSanto. Loads of people will know Bry. Really good content creator and just general good guy, market participant. Was in Pixel Vault, Wolf Game a lot, and then started working with Infinigods. He had been working with them for a long period of time, but by no means was their initial launch like the best launch ever. Like, I think they did obviously they sold a reasonable number of passes. They worked with other projects to keep maintaining interest. They've kept working really hard. And then Wolfsdale seems to have picked them up now and just said, okay, now we're going to just completely back you. Is this like just something for, am I fair in getting that assessment and bearing in mind I'm not super close to it? That's just what I've observed kind of from the outside.
I mean, I would agree with most of what you said. Maybe a couple minor additions. They've been around for a long time. They also did mint out the price, didn't do a lot. Wolfstar was pretty supportive of it for quite a while. As you said, Brady Center has been working with them and has been setting up a couple collabs and doing a great job at that. But it actually, and it goes back to what Sam said before on the Blast topic. You know, you had the Blur token pumping up a couple weeks before the Blast announcement because people had more knowledge, and obviously now you have those investment vehicles forming in Web3 gaming. Then you have those exclusive guilds, and absolutely certain that some people in the gaming sector also have more information and knowledge on certain things than others. So at the end of the day, when you jump onto something, I think the key takeaway is something that we've spoken about on the last couple of shows, is to always try to assess where you are on that information pole. Like, are you getting your info straight off the feed on X? Do you have access to a bit more exclusive information? And just try to, objectively place yourself in an accurate manner on where you stand, because definitely those guilds will get more and more influential, and people will act on information that others don't have. I don't say that this is the case for Wolfstyle, but it's certainly a thing that we've seen in Web3, and it's just the way how markets work, and it's a good thing to be aware of, I'd say.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Just Sammy in the comments, shout out Sammy, great friend of the show, great creator himself. Just mentioned he's actually part of Wolfsdale. He actually told me that the other day. He's been a member for 3 to 4 months. Top gaming community, hands down. Would love to speak to someone from there. Well, I guess Sammy's in there, but and actually Sammy's going to be on the show in 1 week, I think, on Monday. That'll be fun, on camera as well. Looking forward to that. Kusho, final point on this. Then we want to get to the roundup and touch on the bankless stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly touch on the gaming thing because it's something that's very popular with gaming. You have these like DAOs that are forming, and they are usually the ones that have access to the projects in exchange for giving the project access to like a large user base of users. So you can see Catalyst DAO owned, Paladins DAO. There are many of them coming up, and I think it depends on the people who are at the forefront of these DAOs. If the creator at the forefront of this DAO is like a very huge, significant gaming creator, very likely they would have access to information from certain projects that other DAOs may not have. But at the same time, I feel like these projects reach out to multiple DAOs at once. So this is the information that is pretty distributed. And gaming guys don't seem to be the type that hoard the information for very long. It's not like DeFi where I hear about a project and I keep quiet about it, sit on the information for like 3 months. These guys usually come out and be like, yo, this game is coming out. I think it's will be fun to test. We should try it out. And they have a bunch of users generated for the games, and this is why this information is a lot more distributed in gaming sector in particular. That said, I think it's interesting that Infinity Gods being an old project is something that is now coming up. I think there are many projects that are going to be like that don't have much light of day, given that they launched at a very low activity period. Like, for example, Fractional Uprising, which is a Milady community type of game thingy. It's very interesting, but there are many people talking about it because it hasn't really gotten into the ears of these kinds of creators, even though it's a good game.
Yeah, sounds good. I think a lot of what you said is fair there. want to get into the Web3 roundup now and the Creator Corner to get you up to speed with what else has been going on in the last 24 hours, and then finally hit the Bankless news before we close up for the day. So let's get into it, starting with the Web3 roundup, as always, is in the snapshot, which is pinned up top. This first piece of news is big, I think. Could have been a headline. Looking forward to it this week. Gordon Goner announces he will buy more NFTs this week. He says, hey guys, his CIA handler said he needs to buy more NFTs this week, and he's going to do it from the bathroom. So be aware of that. Cannot wait to see the spree and the excitement on the timeline, because that really did set people off last time he did it. Number 2, Mad Lads announces a 1-of-1 raffle. That sounds pretty fun. Clearly becoming the prominent collection on Solana, it seems. Number 3, Circle announces USDC is coming to Japan. That is big news. That's come from the CEO of Circle. Next, Flooring Protocol announces incomes from Vault and Marketplace will be shared with UToken holders and FLC holders, respectively. A bunch of announcements, other ones coming from Flooring Protocol as well. Definitely keeping on top of those. Getting into the Creator Corner, Timpers releases a tribute to Web3 positivity and Gordon Goner's recent buying spree. You can, it's a really cool piece of art. It's an open edition for 24 hours. You can see Gordon on the toilet minting his NFTs or doing something on the toilet. Next, Nouns choose ex-Rick and Morty artist Sloppy Pencil to receive a free noun. What the Nouns ecosystem is doing, it's kind of cool at the moment, is for prominent people who are serving their Web3 ecosystem in some cool way, are able to put themselves forward to get some of the nouns which were left behind when people decided to fork. So there's loads of nouns in the treasury for cool people who, are serving the community in some way. They're able to put themselves forward and maybe get their hands on a noun and join the community for free instead of paying, 15, 20 ETH. So that's pretty cool. Legendary, that is the roundup from the rest of Web3 in the last 24 hours. We don't have much time, but let's just quickly touch on the Bankless news. Do you want to give a quick explainer, or do you want me to?
Happy for you to give a quick explainer, me going in for a quick take, and I think that's all we can do today.
Sounds good. I'm a bit upset that we didn't get to talk about this a little bit more, because I think it's really, really interesting on the media side of things, how people react to people making money. And yet there is some legitimate criticism of the Bankless situation. So I'm just going to get up basically what happened was it emerged that there was a Bankless DAO proposal to Arbitrum for more than $1 million to provide kind of marketing, educational content. And everyone got very, very annoyed, I think on some level, just because it was so much money and people don't like it when I think people make loads of money, I think on some level. But also it kind of transpired that the actual Bankless founders, David and Ryan, are not involved in the DAO, or they're trying to separate themselves from the DAO. And they said, look, that's not us. We are Bankless I can't remember their official handle. We are Bankless HQ. That's the Bankless DAO. Like, we don't have anything together. But then there was an old proposal where they said, we want to have this many tokens so we can, I don't know why they asked for that, because then they had to say, well, no, we don't vote. Therefore, like, it isn't us. But then people were like, well, why do you have the tokens then? Why don't you just burn the tokens so that you don't have any crossover? And then people are like, well, if you're not going to participate, you're not going to be involved, why does it have your name? What's the problem? Sorry, why have you set it up in a way that means that these two things are obviously, they seem to be affiliated, but now you're saying that they're not. So it's a little bit of a mess, which I think at its core is because of what a DAO can do. This is one of the potential problems with DAOs, where it's like, who's in charge? Who is in charge here? Everyone wants to pretend like no one's in charge, but there clearly is someone in charge. And this is one of the issues that I think people will continue to a problem that people will continue to fall into when you try to pretend that no one is in charge. It's like, legally, that is absolutely not true. And I want to stress that to people. Like, there will be someone in charge. And if you're saying that the DAO isn't in charge, or that there isn't an entity that's in charge, then it will be all of you as individuals who are in charge. And therefore you will be on the hook for anything should it go wrong as individuals if there is no entity set up. So people just need to be aware of that. And I think this is one of the things that happens when you allow your name to get taken by other people. You're just you lose the control. So I think I was sympathetic to the founders on the aspect of the money, where, look, I think they do have an amazing platform and reach that is significantly greater than lots of other people's. And crypto attention is very, very expensive. And I do think there was an element of people's criticism that was, we don't want you to make that much money. Like, we just don't want that to be true. We don't want you to make that much money, irrespective of anything else. So I'm sympathetic there. But then on the other side, I do think people need to be careful when they release tokens, firstly, when they start getting involved in DAOs. And it's like, well, are you in charge or are you not in charge? And you got to make it clear to people, because I think that was at least part of the confusion that was happening here. And if you want to read more, you can go to David and Ryan's Twitter. They've been addressing it quite a lot. I've got one of the tweets up on YouTube at the moment, so people can kind of see that. But Legendary, we're going to run into the end of the show now. What are your concluding thoughts? Your first and concluding thoughts?
Yeah, it's quite a complex topic, and I would have to run for a couple of minutes to share all of my thoughts. But just a very, very quick one. It reminds me so much, the whole DAO situation, not only with Bankless but with many other DAOs that we spoke about. When I used to work in investment banking, and sometimes or oftentimes we tried to find the ultimate beneficial owner of something.
Yeah.
And we were going through holdings, and the holding said, no, we're not in charge. There's another entity. Then you go to that entity. Then there's a director who says, no, I have nothing to do with this. And then you kind of try to find the person responsible. And as you said, there's always an ultimate beneficial owner. There's always a person responsible. And I do see that sometimes DAOs try to exist in some kind of vacuum where nobody feels in charge. But as you said, that never can be the case. There's always a responsible person. And if there's not a single one, then everyone's at least has a shared responsibility in what's going on.
Absolutely. I think the final, maybe concluding thought from the discussion today on that point, at least, is be responsible. Take some responsibility. Don't get overexcited with some of the potential. I think there's so much potential, so much excitement in this space. Sometimes people want to drop NFTs and you want to drop tokens. And the thing is, like, and I guess, look, you need those innovators to go out there and do it first so that the next set of people can learn and listen and evolve. But once you drop those things out into the world, there's just no taking them back. You can't put that genie back into the bottle. And I think that's one of the issues that they've come across. But equally, guys, I think you need to be okay with other people making some money. Like, if you build up a huge platform and you're working hard, you're turning up every day doing reasonable work, you've got to be okay with people making some money. We can debate about the exact number, but gotta be okay with it. Guys, we have run out of time for today's show. It's been a great show. We do this every single day, Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. GMT, every day of the week. We hope you will join us again. Have a wonderful day. Great to start the week with you, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.